Sarah and diving instructor Jackson are in love and living their best island life in Mauritius. They are looking at the videos of their fun time on the island. Sarah will have to leave to start her new job. Jackson doesn't want her to go. He asks her to have one last drink with him and she agrees. He orders the drinks and goes to the bathroom, while she is waiting at the table. She is in conflict with herself as she finishes her drink. She gets up to leave and clearly feels bad about it. Jackson comes back and sees that she is gone and left money in her place. He is sad and disappointed. It's 1 year later and Sarah is living and working in London. She is talking on the phone with her best friend, Pascal. Pascal's wedding is coming up and Sarah is the maid of honor. Sarah has arrived in Mauritius and drives to the countryside, where she buys liquor for the wedding from her friend, Solomon. He asks her if she had seen a certain someone, referring to Jackson. She pretends to be clueless. Sarah sees Jackson and wants to hide. She can't believe how great he looks. Pascal tells her that he has a diving school and that he'll be at tonight. Friend. They are at the beach party. Sarah sees Jackson with his friends and the woman from earlier. She talks with Pascal and tries to muster up the courage to approach him. She goes to talk to him, and they make somewhat awkward small talk. He excuses himself, saying he needs to take care of some work. Sarah follows him and offers to walk him home. He is hesitant at first, but agrees. There they have drinks. She says that he's done an amazing job with his business. He gives her ambition credit for it, because it rubbed off on him. She then walks around and tries on a life jacket. Jackson inflates it and Sarah gets playfully angry with him. She then hits him with it. He lifts her up and they share a moment. She tells him that she missed him. He asks what's the point if she's only going to leave again. She says that he could have come with her to London, but he would never be happy there. They have a small argument and then kiss. Sarah wakes up after they shared a passionate night. Pascal phones her, as they've been waiting for 30 minutes and can't wait any longer, because the ferry leaves soon. It's the only ferry to the island, Rodriguez, where the wedding is taking place. Sarah calls Freddie, a pilot, and asks if she can have a ride with him to the wedding. He tells her she's not the only passenger, so she should not feel special. She then sees Jackson, who is angry with her, because she left again without saying anything. When they're up in the air, Freddie tells Sarah to sit in the co-pilot seat. He wants to talk about her dating life. She admits that she's dating, but that there's no one special. He wants to give her a chance to fly the plane. He teaches her how to keep the plane steady. He takes his medication as he tells her that she will have to take control after he turns off the autopilot. She turns the autopilot on again. Then he starts coughing. Sarah yells at Jackson that Freddie is having a heart attack and needs water now. Jackson can't find any water. Freddie then passes out and falls on the yoke, which is the steering wheel of the plane. The plane takes a nosedive, and Jackson hits his head. Then an oxygen tank comes flying from behind and hits the windshield and electronics. Jackson is able to push Freddie away, but still, they are coming dangerously close to colliding with the ocean. With great effort, Sarah is able to pull the yoke up and get the plane higher. When the plane is steady, Sarah asks Jackson to help Freddie. He does CPR, but there is no pulse. Jackson asks Sarah if she can fly the plane, to which she replies no, as she only had a few lessons with Freddie 2 years ago. They assess the damage and see that the GPS is broken. They remember their phones have GPS, but they're dead. Next, they try the radio a few times, with no luck. Sarah turns on the autopilot, but it's broken. They have half a tank of fuel left. But it won't be enough if they're lost. Jackson assesses the reality of their situation. They have no pilot, no autopilot, and they can't land the plane. Luckily, the compass still works. Sarah remembers they were flying west before and she wants to turn that direction again, but Jackson stops her, as west now won't be the same as west before. So, they set a timer for when they'll turn the plane west again. They see a huge storm and Sarah hopes they won't have to fly into it. Then, someone named Samuel comes through over the radio. Sarah tells him that they are flying the plane and that Freddie died. Unfortunately, the signal gets lost, and they are headed straight into the storm. Later, Samuel comes back and says that the storm is too big to fly around. Again, the signal is lost, and Sarah goes into the storm. Jackson tells Sarah that she should be in the pilot seat, so they switch seats. She refuses to fly through the storm, just as lightning strikes the plane. She goes higher and Jackson tells her that they're going too high. She wants to fly over the storm. They are relieved when they reach clear skies above the storm. But their relief doesn't last long as they develop altitude sickness. Sarah struggles to see clearly and passes out, sending the plane into another nosedive. Then the plane spirals out of control and they can't see anything in the storm. Finally, they get the plane leveled again. Sarah asks for the direction, but the compass is now also broken. Finally, they come out of the storm. They realize that the fuel is very low. Sarah remembers of the reserve tank and switches to it. It goes up fast and then quickly comes down. Jackson notes that there might be a leak. The tanks are located on the wings of the plane. Jackson decides to go out, but Sarah doesn't want him to. Sarah has no choice but to fly the plane while she watches Jackson climb to the front of the plane. He opens the engine and fuel sprays into his face. There's a leak in the fuel line. He tries to duct tape it. On his second try, he manages to patch up the hole. The fuel gauge has steadied. It's working. He tries to climb back but falls and dangles under the plane's wing. Sarah tries to help him, just as the plane swerves as no one is holding the yoke. She takes the seatbelt and puts it around the yoke. This keeps the plane steady. Then she tells Jackson to grab her hand. He manages to, but slams into the side of the plane. She is able to pull him in. Then she realizes that his arm is badly injured. She is shocked when she sees how bad it is. She needs to clean the wound, so she grabs one of the bottles of alcohol meant for the wedding. Jackson takes a sip. She then cleans his arm using the alcohol and it burns really bad. She tries to distract him by saying she has flashbacks of them together and quickly cracks his arm back into place. She creates a makeshift splint from a hanger and wraps his arm with that and bandages. She tells him how amazing it was what he just did. Climbing outside on the plane like that. The fuel gauge is at 5%. They decide to keep flying until they find land. Sarah thinks it will be a good idea to lighten the plane so that it uses less fuel. It works and helps the fuel gauge stay steady. Jackson asks if that's everything. She knows he means that they should get rid of Freddie's body. She feels terrible for doing that. Jackson tells her they had to do it and that it was the right thing to do. Sarah wants to get rid of the alcohol, but Jackson says it can be used as fuel, as it contains ethanol. Sarah realizes that's not a bad idea and decides to take on the dangerous task. She manages to climb on top of the plane and hold on to the wing. She reaches the fuel tank's valve. Jackson passes her the bottle. But the wind is too strong and the bottle flies out of her hands. She manages to successfully pour in 3 bottles. Jackson is about to hand her the last one, but then drops it in the plane. Jackson tells her to get back in. She almost loses her grip and grabs the top of the plane's bar just in time. She falls into the plane, feeling relieved and having a small panic attack. Jackson tells Sarah that it's working and that she's incredible. Jackson might have seen an island. Sarah agrees with Jackson that they should turn around. Jackson is in agonizing pain from his injury and Sarah uses a piece of clothing to wrap his arm tighter. They keep searching for land as the fuel gauge drops. The tank reaches empty and the plane shuts down. Sarah says that this can't be the end. She wonders for how long they can glide. While they think that they're in their last moments, Sarah apologizes to Jackson. She is sorry for leaving, as this put them in this situation. Jackson apologizes for not listening to what she needed 2 years ago. They both admit to being selfish. Sarah admits that she hates goodbyes, because they make her want to stay. Jackson spots the island he saw earlier. They are both so happy and relieved. Now Sarah needs to figure out how to land the plane. Jackson tries to guide her through the landing process. They are fast approaching the water. They hit the water and the plane flips over. They are unconscious as the plane slowly starts sinking. The plane has landed on the ocean floor, on the edge of an underwater cliff. Sarah regains consciousness and tries to get Jackson to wake up. While the plane is filling with water. The plane is now completely filled with water and Sarah struggles to get the door open. Finally, she gets it open, swims out and reaches the surface. She calls for Jackson, who is still stuck in the plane. She swims back down, seeing that the plane is slowly falling off the edge. Jackson is not in the plane. He has floated up and is caught in the wing. She grabs a life jacket, puts it over him and inflates it just before the plane falls off the cliff. She narrowly misses the plane. The plane disappears into the darkness. She takes Jackson to the island where she performs CPR. He regains consciousness. Sarah laughs and is relieved to have made it. They are exhausted and just lay on the sand. Sarah wakes up, realizing that the water is coming closer. Jackson realizes that they're actually on a sandbar and that it will disappear with the tide. Sarah can't believe this and cries out. They are still not safe. Now they are just floating around in the ocean. She asks Jackson what they're going to do. Sarah cries as she realizes that they're going to die out there. Jackson tells Sarah that he loves her. She tells him the same. They kiss and accept the situation. Just when they'd lost all hope, a boat approaches them. They quickly take Sarah and Jackson. Sarah laughs and cries at the same time, as she can't believe that they're finally safe. They both agree that there won't be any more goodbyes.